All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Before I get started, I'm just going to check a few things, but if you are here and popping in, say hello. So and let us know where you're at. Okay, I've got it up so I can see comments in a couple places. Just want to make sure that I hit everybody. So welcome to the Orphan Project Challenge. You should have gotten an email this morning with a few links to let you know, as well as our schedule came out last night. So there are quite a few of you who will be joining us this round. I've got the itchy nose again. Okay. So while you are popping in, I am going to drop a link really quick, and then we are going to start. So if you don't know, this is the Facebook Live. We will be having one every day this week for the Orphan Project Challenge. So I just dropped in the comments a link so you can join if you have not joined us yet. So if anybody is here, please, I see numbers coming in. So make sure you pop in, say hi, where are you from? And what's going on? What's your goal for the Orphan Project Challenge? We'll be talking about that in just a little bit, but you can share it if you'd like. Almost lunchtime. Yes, good morning. It's morning here, but where you're at. Vicki, yes. Yeah. I'm so glad you're here, Vicki. Vicki is also an IAQ member, so yes. All right, so today what we will be talking about is organizing kind of our sewing room. And this isn't to dump into the hallway and redo everything. This is an opportunity to check our hot spots and really getting ready to sew. So the challenge is over this week and a little bit of next, and we will be tackling something every day. So we kind of have a different topic each day to help you get through your piles, through your projects, and start tracking and sewing. So we don't hit the sewing time yet, but you are more than welcome to sew, to break everything up if you would like. Good morning, Lucy and Susan, Nashville, Tennessee, and there's a fly in the room. So Vicki says that's okay. It's a good time of day to take a break. Yes, it is. Any time is a good time to take a break for sewing. So I am going to I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you can see this. So it says Orphan Project Challenge Day 1. Give me a thumbs up or a quick note saying, yes, you can see it, just to make sure that I am in the right spot. And you guys can see it says Orphan Project Challenge Day 1. This fly is driving me crazy. So I'm assuming everybody can see it. I'm hoping. All right. So this is what we're going to be walking through today, all about the Orphan Project Challenge. So a little bit of behind the scenes and what it's about, and then what our assignment is and what we are focusing on for the day. Remember that the challenge is short, quick bits, so you can set your timer so you don't get overwhelmed and just stop doing everything. So about the Orphan Project Challenge. This challenge is all about moving your projects forward, organizing and tackling those piles that overwhelm you. It's about digging into the project piles and figuring out what the next step is and not guessing any longer. Because a lot of times we sit there and stare at the pile and we're like, well, I think I need to, I can't work on that yet because I didn't buy the fabric. But when you go into the pile itself, you'll find that you did actually buy the fabric, or you did sew those blocks together and you really didn't even remember because you've been sewing on a lot of different projects. So it's time to get excited about those projects, even if you've started them 10 years ago. All right. Somebody said, yes, I can see it. So thank you so much. Good morning, Sue. Susan, thank you for letting me know. How do I do a thumbs up? Linda, I think if you just hit the like button, it'll give me a thumbs up. But welcome, Linda. So glad you're here. So excited about those projects, no matter what timeline they got started. Or whatever. So this week we are hitting some of the fun topics about the orphan quilt blocks and our projects. Today, we discover and explore actually is an orphan quilt block or project. So both the orphan quilt block and the orphan project will have their own story and purpose. No matter what they are, we'll learn what they actually are and why, and then we can help them get moving forward. To me, this challenge really is not about getting things finished, unless there's a real purpose to it. I've always been one to feel like working on them is actually just as good as finishing them. It's a lot of fun. So enjoy the journey of sewing it. The longer the time we take to actually get back to the project or block, the harder it becomes to actually sew and work on them. We're no longer interested, and the fire or desire to work on them fizzles like it's gone, right? Leaving us with the guilt because we spent money on this and no desire whatsoever to touch them again. So moving forward, on an orphan project is the best thing that we can do. So here's my projects piles right here. Taking small steps like gathering our supplies, pulling them from the back to the front of the shelf, using our tracking sheets, which we'll go over on Wednesday, I believe, picking specific time and days to work on these. Whatever the progress is, it's better than nothing, right? So while the end result is still of it is being complicated or completed, the end result is being completed is awesome. Sometimes the smaller steps is just as important and the only reason why it gets finished, really. So let us look at what is an orphan project. And if you want to answer this question in the comments, go right ahead. I'll give my own description. This is where the whole project was abandoned, okay? So it sits unfinished. You've got it in a bag, a box, a container. Sometimes it's not in anything. It's just a pile. I just have a pile on the shelf, and it might be underneath other piles. So it's just stacked somewhere or put away in a drawer in a closet. You really do have good intentions of completing it. But for some reason or another, something's happened and the finishing came to a complete halt. So no matter what your reason is of stopping. So it wasn't what you envisioned. It's a little frustrating. You don't understand the process, or the technique is new and you don't really get it. It's not the right colors. It's not your favorite anymore. You found another project kit or something else to take its place. Really, you've kind of just like pushed it aside to complete a more urgent project. That happens a lot. So we always, as quilters, get great ideas. We're givers. And so something always comes in and takes our time and pushes those other projects aside. So it's blank many years old, and it really doesn't even have to be years. It could be months, it could be weeks, and it could be days. So just depending on what your idea of an orphan project. But it was maybe for someone or something specific, but it's not finished. That's what it is it is not finished. So Sandy says, with me, I probably made a mistake and haven't got back to fix it. Yes, Sandy. When we sew a bunch of things and realize at the end of sewing a bunch of things that it's not the right thing and you have a lot of unpicking to do, that usually is the reason why we don't finish it. Yes. Jean says, made it. Yes, stacks of unfinished quilts. Patty, good morning. And Vicky says, Becky, did you cheat and use photos from last time since your sewing projects aren't packed in your house? Yes, those are my projects from my previous shelves. Yes, I don't even have anything up right now. So I do have projects in bags though. So they're just in a box, not on a shelf. Yeah. So let's see who else has. Yes, it becomes an orphan because something else was important to get done first. Exactly. Good morning, Cindy. Yes, welcome. All right, so the question is, do you know how many orphan projects you have? I don't. I had a box before we moved and it was quilt tops. And so I really don't even know how many was in there. And then of course you did see my piles of projects here. And so I've never really counted them. I know some people count, but I've not counted them. I'm okay with not knowing how many I have. But yeah, that's the questions. So yeah, not a clue. Sandy says, Delene, nope. Welcome, Delene. Leanne says, way too many and good morning. Good morning. Carol says, I lost count. Right, exactly. That's usually what it is. And then we're like, just like, why do we even count that in the first place? Pat says that is a joke. Right? Yeah. Susan, number of too many, Linda says. And Sue says, I'm afraid to count. Yep. Oh, Cindy, they're all grown up. Oh my gosh, yes. That just means that they have been waiting around, they've matured, and they're ready. So whatever you were frustrated with them before, Cindy, maybe that frustration's gone because they're older now. Delene, Joni, I don't, will you be mine? Oh, are you guys looking for your partners? Yes, accountability partners. I love it. So let's jump back in. Some even may say that orphan projects hold a certain guilt to them. Of course. So who has guilt with their projects? That's me. When you glance at them, you feel guilty. Oh, I should be working on that, but you actually don't. So it's the guilt is there, but it's not quite enough to push you over to digging in and sewing. So in reality, you may even feel guilty because if you did finish it, it's so late, or as Cindy says, it's so mature that it's kind of even silly. You know, it's like at this point, are you even going to be able to give it to the person, or, you know, it's not the holiday yet. So now what's the point? I'll just push it off and do this later. So, yes. Oh, Pat says I need our partner too. Lucy says I feel guilty that I have so many. It is. It's a lot. It's a lot. We have a lot. We love to buy things. End of story. All right. So what is an orphan quilt block? And we'll talk about the quilt blocks, I believe, on Thursday when we go over our ebook. But just real quick, it's a quilt block that you've sewn together. It's finished, but for some reason it didn't fit. It didn't match. It wasn't what you wanted. It doesn't belong. It's the odd man out. You hate the colors. You put the colors in the wrong place. You use the wrong background fabric. It's not the right red. You name any reason, and there the block sits without a home, without a purpose. It's tucked away in a box, a drawer, a pile, in the corner of the shelf behind all the other blocks. With random bits of fabric, and basically it's forgotten. I used to have a drawer, and that was the whole drawer was full of orphan blocks. So I get it. Leftover half square triangles, those were what I typically collected. Orphan quilt blocks are not necessarily bad, okay? So they are sometimes leftovers. You're exploring the colors, you're trying out new ideas, designs, techniques, and you're practicing. So it's not that they are bad. Some come from a specific quilt, just our practice pieces, but whatever the reason, they are left alone, but not really, because they are typically in a pile with other random orphan blocks. So they are in a collection. So this is what I want you to do during the challenge today is keep your eyes out for these. So while you're organizing, which we're going to be talking about in just a little bit, you'll find yourself running to those orphan projects and the orphan quilt blocks. We will be sewing and using those tracking sheets another time. So for now, we're just going to be setting those aside. So that way, you don't get sidetracked even before we begin. So, yeah. So while you're going through everything, just make sure that you kind of put your orphan projects in one pile. So we're making new piles, and put your orphan quilt blocks in another pile. Susan says, I saw a sticker with, I was put on earth to sew a certain number of projects. I'm so far behind now, I will never die. I love it. Sue says, I have no orphan blocks. I donated them to the Quilts for Survivors project to be in quilts. I do have a lot of quilt tops that need to be quilted though. Oh, awesome idea. Yes. Okay, so great idea. And we talk about that a little bit later about what our options are for those projects. I believe that's tomorrow. But donating them is a great one. Great one. Monica says, I have orphan embroidery pieces from my machine embroidery. Yes, those are perfect for little bags, little pillows, and things like that. We'll be talking about that on Thursday when we go over the ebook. I believe the ebook's on Thursday. So yeah. So setting up our sewing. So this is what we're going to be talking about. It's a little bit about the prep, which we've talked about before, but we're going to focus on our hot spots. And so before you jump into that pile of projects, dump the sewing room into the hallway, I want you to just sit down and take a quick moment to slow down. We have a tendency to just go all in for this kickstart. And really, I don't want it to backfire on you at all. So you'll become more frustrated and overwhelmed than you were when you began. Okay, so we're going to do some prep before we get started. So I know you're all fired up. You've got your eyes on those piles and you're, let's get this going look. And like you just want to sew, right? Start making progress on those projects that were long lost and forgotten. You're excited to move forward, get organized, and feel good about your progress. Not only that, but you want to sew. So I totally get it, and you can. I just want you to take a minute and slow down. The OPC challengers aren't just pile shifters and restackers. Quilters, just like you, ready to jump in your piles head first and not look back. So we need to step back just a little bit before we jump in and get sewing. So if you look at your tips page, these will all show up in the PDF. So we're just going to review them really quick. And really, we're going to focus on our hot spots. And that's what number one is really about. So looking at your sewing room, your shelves, take a look at it, not to overwhelm you, but to prep you for what is about to happen. Make note of those areas that really cause you frustration and keep you from sewing. So, yeah, and the next question is, what are your hot spots? So what are your hot spots? Mine are typically the sewing table, the ironing project, or the ironing area, and my cutting mat. So what projects or piles are most interested in tackling first? So, looking at your piles there, which one are you going to work on today? Are there any projects that have limits, deadlines? These projects will what you want to focus on during the challenge. So again, what is your hot spots? Vicky says there is a problem. I have pile resorter and stacker. Seriously, Vicky, I hear you. Yep. Carol says, I'm so ready. Monica says, any flat surface. Yes, those can be our hot spots. Lucy says, my cutting tables needs to be cleared off. Only the mat is visible. Lucy, that's me too. I shove things out of the way. And then at some point it overflows onto the mat. It becomes smaller and smaller. And so then that really leaves me no choice but to go through it. Oh, Vicky's hooking up with Monica. Yes, you're setting your goals. Awesome. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I think that's just down the slide, the next. So yes, so really taking a look at your hot spots. Where are they? And let's get those organized as far as moving the projects into one pile, taking the quilt blocks, if you find any, into another pile, and putting things away. Okay, so tip number 3 is diving into your sewing area. Clean off your sewing table. That's what we were just saying. Put things back in their place. Organize a tiny bit around your sewing machine. Work on this one area for a timed amount. So don't go bonkers and spend 4 hours on this, okay? Let's set the timer for 15 to 20 minutes. Let's work on one space at a time and just really work on that one area so we don't overwhelm ourselves. But really, the most important part or area is the sewing machine. So if you do that one first, that would be the best thing. So you want your sewing machine to be usable, not hidden and overwhelmed with all your clutter piles. And the last one is clean your sewing machine. So once you have found your sewing machine, cleared the area out, let's take a minute to dig into the machine, clean out your bobbin area, remove the lint. Under the machine, inside the machine. Under the machine, I'm really surprised. Even on the table, it's super linty. So give your machine a good oil if you remember the instructions on that, and change your needle if it's been a while. So you really want your machine ready to go. Let's see. So, my hot spots, the whole house. I have one bathroom in the kitchen utility rooms that do not have fabric. All the other rooms contain fabric, and we're all jealous of you in some aspect, Vicky, of that. Yeah. Lucy says, I really need to oil my featherweight. Yes. Joyce says, I'm on it, Cindy. Sewing and cutting tables today. Yes, I love those goals. Small things. Vicky says, I can find my sewing machine, not the embroidery machines, in less than 5 minutes. Should I stay? I started early on that one. Whatever machines you're going to be using during the challenge, Vicky, is what I would focus on. So if anybody is going to be using, like Vicky has embroidery machine and uses those, then focus on that area so you can have that ready. Depending on what your projects are that you're planning on doing, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday when we go to our tracking sheets, but we're really looking at around 10 projects. So not a whole lot. When you're organizing, I'm sure you're going to find more than 10. Just keep them in the pile, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. So don't worry about that one. Yeah, Vicky has a lot of fabric. I love it, Vicky. All right, so let's review. Here we go. First thing to do is prep your space and your hot spots. So important. Take a little bit of time. Set your timer, even if it's for 10 minutes. Spruce up your space and clean your machine. You're not going to be able to sew anything if your table and your cutting mat is piled high. And the second one is set aside the projects and the blocks. So go through what you can, your hot spots. Once you find those hidden and orphan blocks and quilt blocks, set them aside. So give them a space that's not on your hotspot area. Get a box, get a bin, or an open shelf or something like that. But then set them aside. We're going to be looking at our projects tomorrow. So you don't need to worry about them really today. We're not organizing those projects at all. We're going to hit that tomorrow, but set them aside for today. And then remember, you can use those prep steps to help you keep on task. So those are, let's see. Those are the tips right here. So tip 1, tip 2, tip 3, and tip 4. So those are all going to be in your prep to sew. So those are your 2 things for you to do today. But really, also what's important is what is your goal for today? And the other question I'm going to add to this is, who is your accountability buddy? So who is your accountability buddy? Have you found one yet? And who is it? And what's your goal? So I want to see your goals in the comment if you want to share. And then let us know who your accountability is. Oh, yeah. Vicki says, I cleared the correct machine quilt and the quilting frame is clear, ready to accept a non-existent quilt. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Marcia, you don't have a buddy. Okay. Marcia needs a buddy. Leanne needs a buddy as well. So maybe you guys can hook up. So I'll start another thread because this one will kind of be hard to read once the recording goes up. But I'm going to start another thread, and that will be about finding accountability buddies. Joanne says, clearing up my sewing table off. So that's your goal. I love it. Yes, check your sewing machine before oil, or your manual before oiling your machine. Manufacturer's website for oiling updates. That's a great idea. So, the Bernina oiling instructions have changed versus what's in my manual. That's great. I did not know that. So they do update those manuals. So make sure. Yeah. Sandy says, my goal is not to start something new. There you go, Sandy. I usually get distracted by projects not started. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Sandy. This challenge is all about ones that you've already started. So let's not start one until we get those ones under control. Yes, lots of buddies happening. And if you have more than one buddy, that's not a big deal. So that is totally just fine. If you want a trio of buddies, it's not a big deal. So what are your goals? Yes, sometimes I look at a started project and don't know what I was doing. That happens to me all the time. So the tracking sheets will come in very handy for that. So today we're just finding those projects, setting them aside. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the projects and how to organize them. Wednesday is when we bring the tracking sheets out and we look at those projects individually. So we will get to that. Finish up my free motion on my machine, not much left. Clean up my sewing table and put piles in used fabric aside, then pick out projects to sew on. Love it. Yes, love that. Still need a buddy. Okay, I will start a new thread in the Facebook group just for picking buddies, and you guys can announce yours. So if you found one here, that's great, and then you can put it in there as well. So I'm going to start that right now because then I can put it in here. Okay, so I just posted it. Let me get the link for that. I can drop it in here really quick. So everybody can hop over there after the Facebook Live and drop your buddies in there. Let's see. Okay, I hope that was picked up. Marcia says, I've bagged up all my UFO and whips in separate bags, ready to go. Awesome, Marcia. Yes. Linda says, my goal is to get new side let me see. Is to clear the tables and finish an embroidery project. I love that. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Melissa, awesome. Oh, and Kathy's putting out her phone number. You can PM me each other on Facebook if you find that okay. So Jean needs a buddy. Joanne needs a buddy. I did just drop a link in there so everybody can jump over there once this ends, and you can find your buddy there if you haven't found one yet. Delene says, I need to catch up on the IAQ block of the month today before we get another one tomorrow. Yes, Delene, I cannot wait to see your blocks. So excited. Those are turning out wonderful. Jean, I will be your buddy. Are you talking to Joanne? I bet you are, probably. All right, so what's your goals and who's your accountability buddies? We're here to support you. So your action steps today are drop a picture in the Facebook group, share your progress, your hot spots. Okay, you can even do before and after if you want to share. That would be super helpful. It's always helpful to see other people's areas in space and how they organize them. So share any tips and tricks and tips, and that's backwards, to help us keep on the task. So what are you doing to help yourself keep on the task? Do you have something in mind as a reward for keeping with your goal? Are you setting the timer? How often are you checking with your accountability buddy? And the last one, which is going to be all of our action steps, is check in with your accountability. It's always better when we do things together. So that is what our actions are for today, is to share your progress as you are cleaning up and organizing, putting things away, those hot spots. Again, if you've got a lot of hot spots or you've got a lot of areas, just focus on those three: the cutting, the ironing, and the sewing areas. So you don't need to do a deep dive into your closet or under your bed or wherever you hide your projects. Nothing like that at this point. So just find those hot spots. And then we've got some minutes left. If anybody has any questions. Marcia says, my goal is to clear off my sewing area, change my needle, and maybe try that oil thing. Yep, there you go. Yes. Yes. All right. So there's still some more in there. Joni says, me too. Yep. Is that for accountability buddy, Joni, or is that just cleaning your sewing and changing your needle? Mine is quite possibly, Joy says, Cindy, I need to do my ironing board. Yeah. Those are the hot spots. That's where we tend to do a lot of our work. And so we have a lot of leftover bits and they start to pile up. So remember, as you go through these, set aside your orphan projects, set aside your quilt blocks. Anything you find like that, those two are what we are going to be tackling as well during the week. So tomorrow we'll talk about organizing our projects that we have ran into on our hotspots. And why we're focusing on our hotspots is really because those tend to be the ones that we are working on most recently. So those are the projects that we've started, we haven't finished. I know there's a lot of things on the shelves that may be older, but sometimes the ones that are on our hotspots are the ones that have a purpose or reason that we need to get going on right now. So Patty says, I need to clear off my machine, my cutting mat, and my ironing board. Yep, those are the three. Yes. Anxious to get started. Yes. Yeah. I have to do my ironing board as well, Cindy says. Yep. So that is the goal for today. Look at your tips and set aside your projects and your blocks that you find. We will meet up tomorrow, same time, same place, and talk about organizing those projects. And let's see, Monica says, I have 2 baby quilts I want to get done. So that's your goals. Yeah, I love it. Baby quilts are I'm going to say easy, but they're quicker to finish because of the size wise. So love that. Jean says, my ironing board is the only surface not covered. Well done, Jean. Well done. We are all jealous of you. You'll have to drop in the Facebook group. How do you do that? Yeah. Vicky says, I forgot to clean up the ironing board. So important. Seriously, so important. Sandy says, I have too many hot spots. I know, Sandy. I get it. So that is it for the day. If anybody has, anybody have any questions? Monica said, or Marcia says, so if we have a project that we started and need to work on first, is that good? Yes, for sure. And if you want to sew today, that's fine too. So because there's quite a few of us who have done the challenge a few times, but if you want to take a minute and break up the time between a little bit of tackling those hot spots, go right ahead and sew. Yep, go right ahead, Marcia. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow, but we're really looking for 10 projects. So keeping it simple this time around. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. I don't see any questions. So again, share it in the Facebook group. There's a lot of activity going in there. Check out that link for the accountability buddy so everybody can find one as well. I will mark it and it'll be in the announcements just in case. Let's see. Lucy says, I'll be sewing today. Already made my project list. Yep. Yeah, Lucy, you've been in here a couple times. And so, you know the drill. Yeah. Kathy says, my goal is to finish a small project on my machine first, then clean up my space. Great idea. I couldn't find the ebook. Leanne, Vicky says 10 projects? Like that's all. The ebook there was a landing page with a link, and then you should have gotten an email as well. So please check your emails to see if you guys check your emails and check your spam just in case, because those I just sent it again. Yesterday, I believe, was one. So check that. If it was after that, I'll be sending those emails out again. So watch for that, because there's been quite a few people who've been picking up the OPC today as well. So I've been loading them in. But if you don't see it, you'll see it tomorrow. Also, check your email that you got when you purchased, because that will take you to a landing page, and that, like a thank you page, and that will have links in there for download as well. So I hope you can figure that one out, Leanne. If not, look for your email and it'll be coming. So Delene says my project list is made as well. Yep. Yeah. And you are a challenge repeater as well. And an IQ member. There's quite a few IQ members, and they get the challenge for free. So love it. Joanne, my whole house is a hot spot. So Joanne, let's just focus on the 3 places. Leanne says that link didn't work. I will check it again, Leanne, because I sent an email out that they should have all been working. So I don't know what's the problem. And if you're on mobile, it might not. So you need to be maybe on a desktop. Linda says hard copies for those who purchased one. Linda, if you're speaking about the planner, it was a digital only, not hard. So check your email for that, for the link, and then you can print off any of those pages and build a planner. I don't believe I had any hard copies, so not with this round. Susan says the 10 projects are just quilting, right? Susan, they can be a mix of anything. If you have embroidery work to do, if you have, whatever, if they're a bag, it doesn't matter. So we're not restricting it to 10. We're just kind of saying, let's focus on the 10 during the challenge, because the challenge isn't super long and we don't want you to be overwhelmed with 30 projects. So, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. So right now we're just setting those projects aside that we're finding on our hotspot. And then tomorrow we're talking about organizing those projects. So figuring out which ones are the most time important and stuff like that. So, All right. I hope that is all. If you have any questions. Okay, digitizing work to do. Yep, Vicky, digitizer. I put my email in there. If you have any other questions that I have not hit or have any issues, please just email me and we can take care of you. All right, so I will see everybody tomorrow morning at 9, same time, same place. And I look forward to seeing all the progress you're making and who your accountability buddies are as well. So again, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.